Sorry, this camera has a very short memory, not very much memory. Anyway, this is a slightly different knife switch. Well, they're kind of knife switch, I guess. As you can see, it's a Federal one. It did used to have a sticker there, but it's fallen off. The switch is rated at 15 amps at 500 volts. Open the case. This one has no lockout, so you can switch it while you could switch it while it's actually energized. But what it does have is quite a lot more protection in the form of these porcelain insulators. Again, I can't really get close to it because this camera is a piece of crap. But this is actually a metal rod, which is more or less earthed to the case, I suppose, and it's coated with paper that's been treated with some kind of shellac, I guess. Probably what they used to use for windings on motors. But it's not a changeover switch like the other one. There's nothing linking the top to the bottom. It's merely just power to this side and power to this side, and it turns on something that's on there and then turns it off in this position, and then it would turn on whatever you connect to the bottom. So you might have two projectors in the one circuit, or different lights or whatever. So it kind of flicks over quite nicely. Probably too quick for this piece of crap, but camera that is. But yeah, they all line up fairly well. I've adjusted the switch, I've cleaned all the contacts, I've lubricated them with probably the wrong thing to do. The one to ask would probably be someone that works with this kind of stuff for a living. Anyway, you can make it break or make fairly swiftly. So anyway, that's this switch. It's got a very heavy cast iron lid, and to protect against arc flash, which it's had a white asbestos seal. There's remnants of it there. I haven't cleaned it out properly, which kind of makes you wonder if they've got a nice seal there, why they didn't actually put a lockout on the case. And like I said, this has been used probably to change lighting controls from the bio box to the stage, because they did have switches back there, and unfortunately they were gone long before I came there. They all have provision to be wide closed. This wing nut has a nice little hole in it. Can't get close up because this camera's crap. You can see the hole though. It's originally had one down there too, but it's gone. This switch doesn't seem to be rated. It allows for metal conduit. This one, the Bakelite gland there, or whatever you want to call it. This one just has rather crude looking holes that have been drilled in the case. They're original. They haven't been done after the fact. The large brass washer there actually came from a hot water service pressure and temperature relief valve. I thought it filled the gap quite nicely. It probably had a washer there, but it's always been gone. This is a main switch off a house. It's made of Bakelite, 1960. It's rated at 36 amps. Well, look, they used a lot less power back then, so makes quite a nice clack sound. It's designed to make and break the connection fairly rapidly. Anyway, then we got this quite large switch down the bottom. This one probably wouldn't take a lot of work to make it operational, but you can't really see it that well. But some of those contacts, two of them, don't ask me which one. I think it might be this one here, but it needs repairing because the actual contacts have been broken through. Don't ask me how. Could be from wear or something. This switch also has a lockout so that it cannot be turned on until the case is closed. I have actually pulled that rod out the bottom and flicked the switch just to see what it would look like. It's unfortunate that I can't do that, but because it is interesting. But they got these large porcelain insulators. This hasn't had any asbestos sealing, but you can see that edge there fits nicely into that lip. It's the same brand as the fuses up there. These fuses and these fuses. The top ones, of course, are Federal ones, but the brand is, if I can get a close up of that logo, TIH. It's rated at 30 amps per phase at 500 volts, and it has a patent number which is 26985. I would be extremely interested to hear if anybody has a switch that looks like this. I don't know a lot about heavy current because I've really only been into it for the last let's say 5 years. I have seen this stuff come up on eBay that they want big bucks for it. This switch has a very satisfying noise when it turns on. It's quite a nice clunk sound. It has a spring inside which you can see that pin raising up there. It's designed to throw the well, I guess it is a kind of what you'd call a throw switch. Again, it's got a lock out there with a hole in it, and that's the spring there. And I'm gonna have to pull this switch apart one day so I can flick it while it's without the case. But it's designed to be thrown very quickly, and that avoids any arc flash. I guess I'm kind of using the wrong term, because arc flash is kind of like a short circuit across high current, high voltage. This is just arcing, just normal arcing from switching a load. 30 amps per phase at 500 volts is actually quite a lot of, it's quite a lot of load. So if you're switching a building under full load, like everything's turned on, God knows you'd turn everything off if it was your house, but obviously not. But obviously not if you're at the cinema for some reason. But that's what it's allowing for. It switches quickly to avoid any kind of arcing behind the contacts, or in the contacts, I should say. Kind of like a light switch, they don't sort of hang around, they flick straight over. This is the same. That's why it makes that satisfying click. If you switch something slowly, if contacts take a long time to close, you get arcing, which eventually destroys the switch. On these two bars, normally they would be connected. You'd have the neutral wires. Neutral would be connected to all of these terminals here. So there is a terminal for every fuse on the board normally. That would go to the earths that go to whatever you've got, whatever you've got connected to the fuses. This goes to an earth stake. Now in the old days they simply used the galvanized steel water pipes, but nowadays the law requires that you've got an earth stake near the switchboard. Earth stakes, I think, are 3 foot long. They're copper plated steel, they're not full copper. So copper thieves, no, they're not worth any money. They're only copper plated or coated or whatever you want to call it. There's probably not a lot more to add to this, but they're very old switches. I reckon they're about 1940s. I've been told the building is 1930s, but I think they're probably World War II era. It's the switchboard I cobbled together at 2 in the morning because I was bored and not very tired. So this is just a piece of melamine. It's not actually correct for a switchboard. You'd be required to use something probably a bit like fibre cement tile underlay or something. The switchboard that all this stuff was on was actually made of, now I'm going to get this wrong, but I think it is white asbestos that's been impregnated with tar. Now there's a very good reason for the tar, and I can't remember what it is. I think, at a guess, it's probably to keep the moisture from absorbing into the asbestos. If anyone knows more about it than me, feel free to comment. I sort of roughly got them to line up pretty well, I suppose. Not bad considering I just placed them there by eye. There's no real practical need for this switchboard to ever be energised, I suppose. It's more or less for display. But if I do use it for something, I think I'll just use it for 12 volts. Maybe I could put up some feature lights or something outside. Then I can get some sort of cabinet for that, with maybe a perspex front. That'd look pretty cool. Paint all the switches, leave the bottom one original, but the ones that have stage bio closed and open written on them. I could probably more or less that thing probably paint it black. I did start, but I know there'll be plenty of people that say it should be left original and painted that nice old silver colour. If you ask me, I don't think it ever was silver. Got a feeling it was something else. Maybe it was. But anyway, that's the switchboard. Probably been crapping on for too long, but oh well. Let me know what you think. Catch you later.